Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel, and we are live to Australia with Hayden Faltine, CEO, co-founder at BroadSource. Hayden, how are you?
Good afternoon, Evan. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Good afternoon, good morning. I know you're calling in from the future here, so thanks for joining at very awkward times. But really excited to chat with you. We sort of were at the same event called the Cloud Communications Alliance just a couple months back, and I was really so intrigued by your mission and your solution that I thought we might dive a bit deeper. So, having said all that, maybe introduce yourself, a little bit about your bio and background, and broad source to the viewers.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, I could see you sitting in the audience with your hand on your chin, kind of doing this. A very inquisitive kind of look on your face.
At
So,
least I was awake. That's the key thing. So, yes, it
yeah,
was
it
a
was
very
good.
good demo.
It was after lunch, so it was a real tough to keep everyone awake after lunch, that's for sure. In fact, I think I asked the audience, you come back from lunch, don't fall asleep. And I looked at someone and they were asleep. So, but within a few minutes of talking through what we do, I think I had the audience awake. And it
You
was a
did
bit.
indeed. And you walked away with an award at the show. So well
Yeah,
done.
best in show, innovation, and the like. We'll talk about that over the next while. But yeah, thanks for having me, and looking forward to the conversation over the next few minutes. I'm Hayden Faltine. I'm the CEO of an Australian headquartered software development company called BroadSource, and we're a group of telecommunications and API developers who run around the world helping CSPs bring more value to their clouds, particularly in the area of sort of business calling and business communications. And kind of all this grey hair has sort of meant that I've had to go toe to toe with a lot of these sort of the major tier ones across the world, helping them kind of be better at running their platforms. And you and I got to meet each other a month or so ago when it all came together in a sort of a cloud comms conversation for service providers and how do they reinvent themselves into the future. And we're trying to play a role in doing that.
And you've been at this for quite some time, 15 years or so. That's a good run. And prior to that, you were with another company in the telco IT contact center world, right?
Yeah. Well, our background sort of contact centers, large scale stuff,
Right.
mission critical, real time voice and interactions. So really early on in the whole kind of call center automation stuff, there was a company called Genesis, kind of way back when they had about 8 employees doing call center automation, and we were in Australia pre-internet. When distance was a tyranny, you kind of had to work that yourself, and sort of rolling out call center automation technology. And then there was a company called Nuance, who's since been bought by Microsoft. We were lucky enough to kind of try and wrap our head around that when there was about 10 or 12 people in that company as well, and really help those guys forge capabilities into large telcos like Telstra and all those big tier ones here in the domain. And over the last 15 years, it's all been about business voice and VoIP and the transformation of real-time communications to packets and to VoIP things. And our team is building software to allow platforms like Cisco and Microsoft and other things sort of operate within the telco domain. And that's been our role so far. But I think for us, it's kind of also an area of being able to leverage the APIs that have become available. So our kind of role is now, okay, so these telcos have got these cloud communications platforms that promise to help businesses communicate better. How do we as a software development crew leverage that network capability? How do we harness the APIs that exist inside clouds to bring applications to bear? And we think we've struck a really interesting area of secure calling, so security of phone calls across networks. How does a business secure a phone call between them and their customer when, for example, credit cards are to be shared? And it's a really interesting topic now around cyber security, protecting personal information, helping a business not breach. How do they stay on the correct side of their obligations in terms of what Visa and MasterCard and all those guys are wanting? And so our area is about how do we secure telco networks with business phone calls on them leveraging all the APIs that exist that sort of join sort of a mashup of things that are available to us. So that's kind of what we're focused on over the last couple of years, and we were really trying to add value to phone calls at the moment.
Fantastic. In the old days, we used to call what you do BSS OSS, but you solve a lot more problems than the traditional back office system. So tell us about what's happening. What's the landscape look like these days for your space, and how has it changed over the last couple of years in particular?
Yeah, it was interesting. I was at the Cavell event in the UK last week.
Oh, good folks. Yeah.
At the Cloud.com Summit, and they get an opportunity through the research they do to reflect on where the minds are up to in the heads of the product managers inside CSPs, and where do they head. And the whole conversation is about how do they add value in this world where the dial tone might be being supplied by others like Cisco and Microsoft and RingCentral and the like, and how do they invent themselves. And the conversation is about market verticalization and specialization, and attaching application opportunities to those core services so that they can drive a margin into the subscription that they own. And so for us, we hear that and we think about, okay, market verticalization and specialization on top of business communications, and that the service providers need to do more than just supply a business collaboration service. And so we're really interested in helping product managers inside service providers add these attached services to differentiate. And so that's the thing that we think the product managers will drive towards, instead of just reselling a Microsoft Operator Connect service, or reselling a Cisco WebEx service, for example, or 8x8 or RingCentral service. How do they add value to that? And that's the role that we want to play. And that's kind of the messaging we're hearing from the analysts and researchers, saying to the service providers, differentiate, attach market vertical application opportunities. And that was really great signals for us to keep pushing ahead in leveraging the APIs that these service providers make available, and to create application opportunities, leveraging the network API to drive differentiation in their product offerings above the supply of a Microsoft or a Cisco or something like that.
Right. It's amazing how the telecom network is opening up from the dark days of black boxes. Still a lot of those out there, but what a world it's changing into. And how did a small-ish specialist company in Australia become kind of the go-to architecture for cloud collaboration, cloud communications? That's no small feat, in a land of giant big tech companies. How did that come to pass?
I think perseverance and getting intimate with the product managers, and listening and kind of helping them just do simple things like upgrade their Class 5 soft switch, which is large projects, upgrade it, innovate it, expand it, and listen to the problem statements that are coming from the product managers, the network operators that are running these large subscriber bases. Some of our customers are running, 2-3 million subscribers on compute.
Wow.
By their data centers, and they're big installs of soft switch technology. And there's a myriad of problems, speed wobbles that come out of all of that when you're running such big infrastructures. And we target solving, those speed wobbles by writing software that allows subscribers to manage their growth pain, as they strive to get more subscribers on their platforms. And that just turns into software that resonates really well with product managers. And everyone seems to have the same problems globally. They're around managing growth and managing scale in large Class 5 business VoIP environments. And so there's a commonality there that allows us to talk about how peers are common, and they should be sharing the same sorts of solutions and outcomes. And that's what allowed us to really kind of allow us to move from service provider to service provider with a common set of use cases to solve using our software. That's been the approach for the last 15 years or so.
Well, keep up the good work. Now, you must have seen a lot of change, a lot of disruption, a lot of opportunity, but also challenges through the pandemic. What was your observation on the ground there in the middle of it all?
Well, for us, I personally come from the city that had the most number of days that were locked down in
Oh,
Melbourne.
wow.
So for me, it was an opportunity to reflect and obviously to stop traveling for a little bit, which was forced upon us, and allow us as an organisation also to reach out. But what was really interesting through that process was not being able to reach out and spend time with product management teams and to be able to workshop and brainstorm with product managers around the world. I felt like a lot of those guys, which are our key contact points in service provider, I found like they also were at home reflecting. And here's a really interesting point. The amount of inbound inquiry we would receive on our website, our Contact Us webpage during the pandemic, from senior product managers inside service providers was outrageous. It was one or two inbound inquiries to our sort of anonymous Contact Us webpage that was turned out to be, the head of, CPaaS or the head of UCaaS inside these very large service providers. And it was them reflecting as well, obviously with a little bit of time to do some research, who reached out to us and established some relationships, and we were able to establish some really key and deep relationships with very large service providers because of that moment of reflection I think they had in what do their futures look like as well. Turned into sort of really bizarre inbound inquiry via our website to be responded to, which was something I hadn't expected, but it did happen. It was good.
That's a great opportunity. Now, your foray into the payment space, not an obvious move, but what was the problem you were solving or the opportunity you saw to get into, provider payments?
Yeah, the easiest way to describe it is hopefully a new term that we can coin in industry over the coming years, and maybe you can help us with that, Evan, is the kind of idea of telco and fintech being mashed up. And we kind of see if anyone resonates with the kind of the new term fintel. Who knows? It's kind of a mashup of the fact that people are talking together on telephones in business communications for business transactions. And in parallel to that, there is a sort of a financial industry overlay where people are paying for things online and paying for things in call centers. But people are, and increasingly since the pandemic, people are paying for things over the phone. And we see a significant risk there that has not been addressed in the long tail of all phone calls and all endpoints across the globe where credit card payments are being made over telephones. Where it really came from was out of our call center work. We were seeing a lot of call centers in our space who are asking us to help them improve their level of compliance around a standard called PCI DSS. So those obligations that merchants, call centers have in managing card holder detail. They see the screws being tightening by Visa and MasterCard and therefore the banks. So the screws are getting tightened. The obligations to improve your level of compliance, reportability in the call center is becoming extreme. And so a lot of our project work was actually PCI compliance work in a call center. And about a year and a half ago, it struck us that, well, what is that merchant doing in their non-call center environments? What are they doing with all their retail stores? What are they doing in their little accounts receivables teams? What are local governments doing who take credit card payments from ratepayers that are not in call centers? How do you manage the highly distributed nature of every other phone on the planet that's not in a structured, confined call center? So we thought, how do you re-engineer a solution leveraging the APIs supplied by the CSPs to be able to secure credit card payments on every other phone on the planet, not just those that are confined in call centers, which takes a very different approach, different technology, very different commercial models. But actually, we feel that's the actual massive opportunity for CSPs in their offering of business communication services. to their customers. That is, yeah, we'll secure the call center. That's the 60-seat call center that needs to manage credit card. But what about the 3,500 other seats of UCaaS in 1,000 stores across the US where they take card payments every day? People ring back saying, yeah, thanks for the quote. Can I put down a deposit? The business is obligated to take that sale. You know, they can't transfer the call to the call center. They'll lose the sale. They can't send them off to the website. You know what's really interesting, Evan? We have a customer of ours in Asia who started sending payment links out to customers for renewing memberships. No one's clicking links anymore.
No.
They've been told not to click the link because it could be hijacked. It may not actually even get there. This customer of ours runs a hotel hospitality membership rewards program. It's a $300 million business to them to manage member rewards program renewals. And no one's clicking links to renew their membership anymore. So they're having to outbound call them and take the payment over the phone. It's not a call center. They're sort of account managers managing membership rewards programs. And there is no solution to be able to manage a discrete single phone call. And that's kind of what got us thinking about how do we mash up a UCaaS phone call combined with all of the APIs that are now available out of the telco world so we can program the telco. So we'll have a highly programmable relationship with the telco and connect the payment process to that. And that's kind of that mashup concept of, well, let's secure that one phone call between a merchant in a retail shop and the customer who just wants to put a deposit down for something. And all those planets aligned about 18 months ago. And that's kind of what we're driving really hard at the moment, is that innovation that service providers we think are really calling for, you know, to do that market verticalization, that specialization, and saying, well, our network, it is a WebEx network or it's a Microsoft Operator Connect network, but here is how we are going to differentiate the end user experience. We're going to make it secure, compliant, you know, for a monetization opportunity.
Fantastic. Fintel, love the new buzzword. We need at least one new buzzword a day. So what's next? I mean, you mentioned multiple clouds, you know, multiple cloud providers. Of course, you know, Cisco WebEx still the 800-pound gorilla back from the BroadSource's days, but you know, it is a very competitive and diverse space. So is this multiple clouds, maybe native mobile? What other things are you getting involved with?
Yeah, our hope is to continue to expand our clouds, our secure calling cloud capability now to talk to all the banks. So kind of think of us as being able to talk to any merchant's bank globally is the idea. We've been really lucky enough to have been able to build this new tech about 18 months ago. It's cloud native. It sort of runs in an Amazon cloud. I don't understand these concepts, Evan, but my team tell me it's kind of all serverless and nothing really exists until you really need it. I don't understand that bit, but it kind of scales infinitely in these sorts of cloud environments. And so I think we've got the right foundations to be able to exist anywhere, in effect, with the leveraging the cloud native architectures. So that means we've got the ability to be compliant anywhere. It means we can talk to any sort of payment facility, payment platform anywhere. And our journey is to then obviously to be able to speak to as many programmable telco networks as possible. You know, obviously we've created some really funky call flow, proprietary call flow that allows us to participate in a call, to take a card payment at the right time, just in time, to be really economical and the like. And so we do rely upon integration into highly programmable soft switches, and that's our journey, to talk to as many soft switches as possible. But what's really interesting for us is the idea of this whole problem exists in payments and payment fraud and credit card security because of human fragility. The human is in the loop traditionally. So, you know, when you want to put a deposit down for something, Evan, you're going to say, oh, Hayden, when you're ready, can you please speak your credit card details to me? And I'll go away and type those somewhere, somehow. And I, as the consumer, I'm not sure. So that human being involved in the loop is something we need to take out of the loop in the interests of the merchant, in the interests of the bank, in the interests of Visa and MasterCard. That's because Visa and MasterCard are always ending up paying for the bill. Everyone else gets their money back. So what's coming for us is the fact that PCI 4.0 is now in market, and merchants by March next year need to comply. And that's around not just ticking a box saying, yeah, I have a process to make sure my staff don't handle cards badly, but you actually have to prove it as of next year. So the screws are being tightened by Visa and MasterCard because they're the poor guys. No, they're not. They're the guys who
rich, but they're the guys.
They're the guys. They don't get their money back when a fraud event happens. And so our vision is to be able to do two things. Take the human decision-making process out of securing a phone call. And so for us, that's the tantalizing opportunity to move towards artificial intelligence, real-time, conversational understanding to say, okay, Evan, are you and I about to enter into kind of a secure mode? Is this the moment where the cone of silence comes down from the ceiling? Get smart style, but to take that decision away from the human. And so to start to use artificial intelligence is sort of in our mind as the next thing that says, okay, all these phone calls running across networks, which ones should we be securing based on not a human's decision on this, but some sort of artificial decision support system to do that. So that's a really interesting concept for us to think about over the horizon on one front. And on the other front is we want to be able to secure any phone on any network. And so the idea for us to be able to even secure mobile phone calls, mobile networks, which is going to leverage our IMS experience and the work we do with telcos around sort of IMS architecture, mobile interconnect architectures. And that's where we're putting our R&D efforts at the moment into, so that my hope, my vision as the CEO of the company is to secure any phone call on any network into any bank, no matter what the device, no matter what the network. And not just credit cards, but any piece of information that I'm about to share with you, I might want to be masked. So if it's my driver's license number, my birth date, my social security number, be able to have that masked, confirmed, checked, approved, but not shared. That's the vision for us as a software development company over the next 18 months of software development sort of research.
Well, that's the highlight. Mic drop. Do you have a mic you can drop? Because you just kind of said it all in about 30 seconds. Well, that's so exciting. On a lighter note, I got to ask you, emu, a bird native to Australia, very cute, but did one run by your window one day and you thought, okay, I'm just going to use, why an emu versus some other Australian critter that might have been
emu, well, they're pretty cunning, they're fast, they're very intelligent. I think we needed our software to be all of that, sort of fast, intelligent, inquisitive, all those sorts of things. There's a thing about our coat of arms in Australia. There's two animals on our coat of arms, the emu and the kangaroo. And an interesting point of note about those two animals is, and the reason why they're facing each other, pointing it out, looking at our coat of arms, is they're the two animals that can't walk backwards. Okay. So always moving forwards. So a lot of those sorts of things drove us towards EMU, but it's a lot simpler than that. Sounds all great, but it's a lot simpler. EMU is actually an acronym, believe it or not. It's an acronym that stands for extraction, manipulation, and update. And that's kind of what we've been doing with these big class 5 soft switches, big migrations, big extractions, big updates, so big service providers can manipulate lots of big data on their class 5 soft switches. So sounds great, but it's just a little acronym, to be honest.
It all came together. Well, you travel a lot. We're all traveling more. You have the big Enterprise Connect show. It's probably a bit of a stretch for you at the moment, but do you have any exciting plans, trips, events, or other things you're looking forward to over the next month or two?
Yeah, it's been I missed all of summer. I've just someone said, how did your summer go? And I said, well, I was actually in the Northern Hemisphere for nearly all of it. So
note to the viewers, summer and winter are reversed, between the US and Australia, of course.
And as you probably can't tell, but the sun hasn't even come up here yet. So I can prove to everybody that the world is not flat because I can see the sun in your background and not mine. Look, it's been a busy couple of months, there's been a whole lot of events, including the Cloud Comms Alliance, and Cisco have had their Cisco Live event. And so it's been a busy first quarter. Looking forward to a lot of events in the area of industry verticalization. There's a lot going on in digital health, a lot going on in sort of large franchised conferences that are happening, which we've been asked to speak at. So the idea of how do we help make payments better in digital health? How do we secure the receptionist in a medical clinic?
That's great. We got the big HIMSS Health IT show coming up here in Chicago in the US, so that'll be a fun and interesting topic.
Yeah, and so we're spending a lot of time on being asked to be on panels and speaking spots to talk about these concepts. And in large franchise, the big franchise associations are asking us to help talk about how do we secure payments in franchise. And so a lot of those big events are coming, and that's kind of where we've been asked to participate. And obviously the conversation on the floor at Enterprise Connect for us is one that is going to be with those service providers who are taking their messaging and product offerings to their customer base at Enterprise Connect, and us being able to sort of co-present and co-demonstrate as branded as their own as they take their new market vertical opportunities via Enterprise Connect to their customer base. It's kind of what the next couple of months looks like for us, Evan.
Well, super exciting. Thanks so much for sharing your vision and your outlook, and congratulations on all the success. I look forward to meeting you soon.
Good on you, Evan. Thanks for spending time.
Thanks, Aidan. Thanks for the viewers for watching. Look forward to chatting soon.